What is up, VV family? I am back here with another episode, something a little different today. I am here with the top influencer for the DC Cowls Bat project, or Batman project rather, with Legacy T. And so I listen to this guy on, Twitter all the time, Twitter Spaces. And man, I'm a huge fan of his. And I was like, man, I got to have somebody in here more knowledgeable than me come and talk about this project, because I've been pretending to know a lot about it. But truth be told, I got in last minute. And if it wasn't for somebody like him and a few other influencers in the space, I probably wouldn't have got involved. And thank God I did. So we're here to kind of tell you everything about this project today and just be able to, pick this guy's brain. So thanks so much for coming on, brother.
Hey man, thanks for having me, man. I feel grateful to be here, man. Big fan of the channel.
Yes, that's so sick, dude. And bro, I know you were big into VV too before. Like I saw your name all over VV, and then I saw you get into Hero. And so, like, how did you start with VV? Like, how did you hear about that?
So I heard about VV from a YouTuber that I was following, and I was part of his Patreon, and he talks crypto on his channel, and I was active on his channel. And one day I was at home and he shot out a message to his Patreon members. And he was like, Spider-Man's dropping on VV. And I was like, I didn't know anything about it. And apparently he did, and some of his followers did. And instantly I downloaded the app. When I heard Spider-Man, all I heard was Spider-Man. And I was like, okay, boom. And I instantly went in, honestly, I went in and bought it before I even did any research, to be honest with you. I just went in and bought it because we all know Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. He's the big, you know what I'm saying? He's the
big one.
Biggest faces on the planet. So I was like, Spider-Man, okay, no brainer. Went in. By the time I got in, the drop had already started. I bought like 2 or 3 commons. That was all that was left in the store. And that was around that time too, when, as you guys know, stuff sells out immediately now. I think that was one of the few drops or times when stuff was not still selling out instantly. And I was able to, there was still a stack of commons in the market for I want to say at least 3 or 4 days, maybe even longer.
Wow.
So I grabbed a couple. I told my family, I told some friends, and ever since then, man, I deep dived into VV, and I've been one of the biggest fans of VV, and I see a lot of potential in that one.
Amazing, bro. Yeah, because I remember that's where I first saw you, was just all over the VV space, and I was like, man, this guy, knows what he's talking about. You had a big collection, and I forgot that Spider-Man was still available, a few days later, because what did that go up to? $1,500 at the peak. So it's just insane, right? The opportunities we had. But then I saw you make a shift, and I think you got into Hero as well, right? Later on.
Yeah. So I saw Hero, for me, and Hero is a massive game changer. And like everyone else, we equate things to VV because we know how special VV is and we know what they're trying to do. And so it's almost like you have to equate it to the big fish in the pond. You know what I'm saying? So right. I saw Hero, and once I saw DC trading cards, my a bell went off in my head instantly. These are trading cards, and a lot of people didn't really see the value in them because they're trading cards. But for me, I don't know if you do, but actually I do know you collect Pokemon cards as well.
I did, yeah.
I still have cards from my childhood, and instantly when I saw DC trading cards, I'm a huge DC fan, and I was like, bro, I couldn't wait. It was I was like, you know what I'm saying? I was pulsing with this is major, a hybrid and a digital set. Right. That was for me, it was the game changer for the entire NFT space, because to have that in a store is the first NFT project that we've ever seen in a brick and mortar store with Walmart. And it just resonated with me instantly. It was and then I found out Cardamundi. We know Cardamundi is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, you know what I'm saying, of card producers. And so their projects usually have success. You know what I'm saying? 9 out of 10 times they have successful projects. So it's not like they wouldn't put their name on something. And the fact that Warner Brothers and DC put their name on it as well, I just started digging, man, and I instantly bought up a bunch of stuff, and I was quietly purchasing and watching everybody else purchase and stuff, man. But I just saw it, you know what I'm saying? It was like an instant.
Wow. Dude, it's amazing how fast you've been able to capitalize on these projects, because then after you went to Hero, then all of a sudden I saw the back cows, and a lot of people, bro, underestimated this thing completely, including myself. I heard 200K, I heard $300. I didn't go past there. I was like, that is just not going to be rare. I didn't look at Jim Lee. I didn't look at who was part of the company. I didn't look at the utility that was coming. And then on top of that, you not only did those two projects, but then you moved into the back cows, and you were one of the OGs, right? You were one of the, I think, first 70 people that were part of the Discord and what have you. So, bro, how did you find out about that? And then what gave you, I guess, like the courage and the wherewithal to just dive in?
So I found out about the back cows. I think it was a tweet on Twitter, and I think it's because it might have been because I was following DC's page, like either DC Comics or something like that. I was following their page, and then I saw the back cows. And at first, I kind of saw it. To be honest with you, I saw it, man, and I was like, okay, whatever. I instantly hit the Discord and just went and signed up. You know what I'm saying? I went and signed up. I was quiet kept, and I honestly didn't even do any research on it. You know what I'm saying? But I was in there first. You know, I was like, okay, let me just get in. Boom, and I got in the Discord. And after about a day or so, man, they started talking about how they were linked to the DC fandom NFTs. And when I found that out, I was like, okay, it's time to go in. You know, it's time to go deep. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember where I was at. Funny story, real quick. Because I'm a truck driver. I remember where I was when they dropped the DC fandom. And my truck was being worked on. I was up in Iowa, just north of where I'm at. And my truck was being worked on. And I had just done the Ben Riley drop on Vivi. It was the Ben Riley drop, and I had missed it. And I'm seeing Gail's video about how his, you know what I'm saying, his sister got the ultra rare, and I was like, man, I missed the drop. So I knew about DC fandom. I got the email for that, and I signed up instantly. I was like, a free DC NFT, like, you know, for me, because I'm a DC fan. So I you know what I'm saying? Whether it be worth nothing or, you know, whatever it is, they're giving this out for something. So I was like, you know, I set up an email. I got two. I even used my other email and got two more. So, you know, and from there, I just kept it in the closet. You know, it didn't get a lot of traction and they didn't say anything. But I was like, they obviously have some type of plan. And so fast forward, I found out about the Cowls. I got in the Discord. And then once I started researching, like, I found out how they're tied to the fandom NFTs. And then once I found that out, I was like, okay, they did have a plan. And this is going to be major because I know DC, like everyone else knows, Marvel is the king of the space as far as comics and superheroes. Marvel has been the king for years. And I've been saying for a while, and I even said it with the new Batman movie, like DC is at a point in time where they cannot mess up. You see what I'm saying? And I had that in my mind, like, okay, DC, if they're coming out with a project and it's not on VV, you know what I'm saying? And they just came out with HRO, you know, DC is making a major wave in the entire space. And it's almost like a lot of people are taken back by it because of how DC has been previously. We all know they've been slow. A lot of their movies, you know, they're switching characters. They're not, you know, staying to different storylines. And they've just been kind of behind. The Marvel's been the giant. But once I seen Vivi with a few DC things on there, they did the wave with Batman. We see how big Batman is on there. And then when HRO came out, I was like, okay, boom. And I was quick on that one. And then I saw the Cowls and everything just started clicking, man. It was all a tie. And I was just like, DC is going to win with all of these because they cannot mess up. You see what I'm saying? Like it, and I said that about the Batman movie. People said the Batman movie, that some don't like it. I thought it was one of the best Batman movies I've ever seen in my life.
Bro, same here, man. I loved it. Yeah.
And I'm not even a big Batman fan. I'm a Superman fan. Right. And it was one of the best movies I've ever seen because we actually got to see the embodiment of Batman as a detective. So And the first thing I said before I saw that movie, I was telling my brother, because we were going to go see it together, and I was like, my brother was like, it's probably not going to be that good. And I said, you know what? I bet you it is. And he was like, and I was like, you know why? I said, because DC cannot afford to mess this movie up. If they do, fans will be gone for it. If you mess up Batman, fans are gone, man. And I said the same thing about the Cowls and the floppy disks and Hero. It was just, I know DC is at a standpoint, and we all know the NFT space is new. What better place and better time in history than to plant your foot first? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
New era, and solidify yourself in the race again with Marvel. And they're doing it right in front of our face, man. Right in front of our face.
Wow. Jeez, bro, I love listening to you here, man. And dude, you got some real nice custom back cowl, right? That thing is so good, bro. What is that, like 1% of 1%? Like, it looks super rare. Like, maybe you can just chat a little bit about that. I'll see if I could, like, people will follow you on Twitter, but if you haven't seen his back cowl yet, it's one of the best, probably top 3 I've seen.
So my back cowl, I attribute that to the community that we built with back cows.
Right.
And I honestly got that because of the amazing community that, you know what I'm saying, we helped to establish. And that's, so we carried over that community from Hero. It started in Hero, and a lot of the guys, they know who they are. We helped to build the community in Hero. So after Hero, we, you know what I'm saying, I started championing the same thing with the back house. So we've been following each other as a community, and a lot of those people are from the VV community as well. So that's how we all, you know what I'm saying, interlock together. But the cow, so the cow is actually it's an honorary cow.
So crazy.
And it's crazy.
Well deserved, by the way. I have to, I'm definitely jealous, but you deserve it, bro. Because I saw you out there working,
Yeah, so it's an honorary cow, and what happened is they did a giveaway for the cows, and I think they gave away 80 for people who just did like a contest online, and you could win one if you posted your thing on Instagram. And I was ecstatic when they announced the winners, because a lot of people in our community won, and I was like, the only thing I could say was, heck yeah, man! Like, I'm just excited to see everybody get a piece of the pie, you know what I'm saying? Not just myself, which is why I share information. And everybody won that day, man. And I was just elated for everyone. And all of a sudden, John, I know you know who John is, he was in the space, and John was like, hey man, we should I'm gonna write a post, and we should all retweet it and like it and share it. And I'm gonna tag Matt and Palm NFT to see if we can get you a cow, because you deserve one. And I was just like, okay. I was just happy to see everybody else winning, because I had already minted my cow, so I was good. And man, we're just chilling that night. Everybody was retweeting it, and I saw it, and I was just like, okay, I don't expect them to do anything special for me. I'm just, just a regular guy, man, just sharing information. And I've been in contact with Matt the whole time, so he follows me, and we were DMing about some things. And that night, they had opened a space after we finished. I think it was after we finished minting or something like that. And Matt goes, hey man, do you have a second? And I was like, yeah, whatever. He was like, hey man, jump into space. Because I didn't even realize it was a space going on, and I saw jump into space. And I guess everybody had knew or something, because I jumped into space, and then Matt jumps up, and he's just like, hey man, we want to congratulate you. We can see what you've done. You've helped the community a lot, and a lot of people say that you were a big part of the community, and we want to reward you with this honorary back cow. And I was just, I was blown away, man.
Oh, wow.
I was blown away.
Bro, I mean, but that's just a testament to how you handled that situation as well, because most people, I would say 99% of people, in a situation where you're helping develop a community, and other people are then winning these free cows, and then you're like, oh, well, I put so much time to it. That was not your response at all. You're like, I'm elated for these other people. I'm happy that you guys are all doing well. You just wanted to be a part of it. And so that's why it's also like why you're so deserving, and because you were altruistic in it, and you were doing it because you believed in the project, you believed in the space. I mean, that is just extremely noble, man. And another reason why I wanted to kind of have you up, because I could tell how humble you are, and the way that you kind of, talk about this information. And so I wanted to pick your brain now on some of the particulars, I guess, in the project, because I still think not a lot of good people have a good wrap around what it all means, right? And I know that we talked about 200,000 were originally up for grabs, but it's official now that there's only been approximately 11,500 minted, and 1,100 are with the DC team. And then I think it's like 10,500 are, just with like the actual public. And then there's only 6,000 unique holders, if I'm not wrong. Is that correct?
So yes, so about 6,700 unique users,
Okay.
about 11,000, 11,500 total Cowls. And 2,000 of those, to my understanding, 2,000 of those are held back by Palm NFT. So if you think about it as a whole, only about 9,500 of those Cowls were minted to the public, and 6,700 of those Cowls are individual users. That is mind blowing because most people only have one cow.
Right. Myself included, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's actually like, so that's a really good sign too, because that means that that community is likely going to be strong. And what do you think the implications are now that this community is so much smaller than we originally anticipated? Because I thought maybe it was going to go to 40,000, 50,000. I didn't know how the marketing was going to be, but now that we have 10,000, I mean, we're pretty much in line with most other PFP projects on OpenSea, as an example. Like, I'm not trying to make a comparison to Bored Apes, but in terms of the number, it's similar. And then you have DC backed utilities. So what do you make of like the size of this project?
Um, to be honest, it's astronomical. Because you're right, it does compete now with some of the biggest projects that are on the blockchain. And I got to hear Matt a lot in spaces, and you can hear his sentiment about the project. And a lot of people think that they sold 200,000 of these for basically for a cash grab. And I understand that because 200,000, when you compare it to most projects, you're like, okay, this is over the top. Why do they need so much? What are they doing? But for me, from the beginning, I've always told people the reason why they're doing so many is because, and I always equate it to this, and I'll ask you the question. If DC offered you the ultimate fan experience through an NFT, the ultimate DC experience, would you pay $300 to take a 2 to 3 year journey as a DC fan, to
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Without
no
question.
brainer. You're right.
And that's what I've always told people. I told people this is the ultimate DC experience. It's not just going to be Batman, which it is centered around Batman, but to what I was digging into and what I researched, it was, bro, they're going to bring us, if this is tied to the floppy disks or the hard drives that we got, there's nothing but a bunch of DC characters on those. And there's 15 of them, by the way, common, rare, and then I think legendary. And so 5 in each category, and they're all linked to the Bat Cowl. So when you think about that, it let me know, like, okay, wait a minute. This is linked to DC fandom as a whole. They're trying to bring us the DC experience. And with Jim Lee's name tied to it, it kind of unraveled that way too, because Jim Lee doesn't only draw Batman. He draws a bunch of different characters in the entire DC scope. So it was like, okay, they're trying to make a move in the space and bring us DC as a whole. So that's what was always my pitch to everybody in spaces. Right. This is the ultimate DC fan experience.
Unbelievable.
And, yeah.
And like you said, like, despite what the NFT stands for, even though now it's like a blessing in disguise that there's like, 10,000, but like even before, even if it was just like a ticket, you would probably buy it for $300. You know what I'm trying to say? Let alone an NFT. So like, so that part is already amazing. And then obviously there's a massive amount of speculation about the utility. And I mean, I don't want to, I guess, ponder too much because I'm sure there's could be some incredible surprises. But what's some of the utility that we know is coming right now that you can kind of discuss?
So the biggest sales pitch first in terms of the utility factor was the AR functionality with Instagram.
Right.
If you can think back to when we had the C19 2-3 years ago, everybody was on social media and they all had on back cowls and they were all trying to be who? Batman. And videos were going viral. Everybody had their Batman voice. You know what I'm saying? And Batman was like on every social platform, and people were getting views simply because of Batman. So when I saw the AR functionality, I was like, wait a minute, we can put these on Instagram instantly? Like,
Wow.
these have the biggest capability to go viral in an instant. Like,
Wow.
so that's one of the utilities I know. There's a few more, but to me, that was one of the biggest utility factors in terms of this project that just kind of like poof.
Right. That's unbelievable. And was it on Snapchat as well, or was it just, or was it both, or was it
You're right. You're right.
it was Snapchat, right?
It is Snapchat. Snapchat. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I was like, because I know Instagram's coming, because I saw Mark Zuckerberg talking about something this week that like they're going to be able to actually, you're going to be able to have your PFP or your like NFTs actually as your profile pic, which is like, I don't, and like, who knows? This is my point, man. We don't know if that's part of the bridge that's going to happen in a few weeks, right? And then on top of that, I was like looking at the comic book too, and I was like, dude, so we can actually potentially vote on the storyline of a comic book with our cows. And then I was thinking to myself, I was like, what if we voted in somebody like you, like your cow, to be pictured in the comic book that's published internationally? And then what would that would make then your cow like priceless, right? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like I'm like obviously thinking of all these crazy ideas, but I was like, dude, like, so that's the other part to it. And then there's also Night Watch, right? For people that got into that early. I don't know enough about that. I don't know if you know a little bit more than I do about that, but it's like you're in certain precincts or something.
Yeah, so Night Watch is going to be, there's 10 neighborhoods. From
Right.
what they told us, there's 10 neighborhoods. And if you look up the Night Watch in some of the Batman storylines, he has a Night Watch. And the Night Watch is where he assigns citizens of Gotham to basically help him be eyes around all of Gotham because he can't be there at the same time. So then he hands out, Night Watch responsibility to citizens of Gotham because things are getting chaotic. And
Wow.
so you think about it like that, there's 10 different neighborhoods. Your cow will be assigned to your each neighborhood. And you'll also get a Night Watch NFT and be able to participate in Night Watch if you hold your cowl past the second snapshot. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
a lot of us have been speculating that it could be tied to a game. Um,
That's crazy.
and we've had some pretty epic guys in the space. I don't know if you guys are aware of Preston Wu with Dash 3D and Josh from
Mm.
Warner Brothers. We had them come into a space one night, and Josh just, or excuse me, Preston told us how scalable these items are, and he pretty much basically told us that these can go from 1D to 3D and probably even further than that. You know what I'm saying? In
Wow.
terms of scalability. So when you think about it like that, why would you build a back cowl and a lot of people thought it was only AR capable, it would just be a PFP. But
Right.
you know what I'm saying? If you think about why would you need it to be that scalable, we dream about that on VV. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
dream about those NFTs doing that. So when I heard him say that, it was just reassurance that we was already on the right path and that things were going to go crazy with this project, man. Um,
Wow.
I'm trying to think of some of the other utility. I'm kind of taken back, man, because You
I know,
know,
because there's a lot going on. And the thing is too, like a lot of it hasn't been announced yet, right? All they say, like a lot of the thing they say is like every 52 days, something new is gonna happen. And they kind of like make these little hints. Like Matt was on for an interview and he was talking about he's like, you're gonna get some super limited drops, like potentially airdrops as well for like exclusive NFTs. And then he's like some really cool hand-drawn stuff. And I was like, whoa, like so I don't even know what that means. And then I was like, bro, I'm just like really trying to dive in because I was like, there's so much going on. Then I was looking at the biggest investors being like Microsoft and like you said, Warner Brothers. And then like now you're alluding to the game, and I'm like, okay, this is all starting to make sense. And then I'm thinking about like Fortnite and these different games where you have like skins. And then I was like, wait a second, bro. Did we just buy the head of our avatar? And then now like the next drop is going to be like your arms. And then it's going to be like your torso and your belt. Like that's where I'm like, maybe I'm just, going crazy, but I think there's some crazy possibilities from this point forward.
you're not at all crazy, man.
Thank
Like
you.
they hinted that we will be able to buy drops, like
Yeah.
drops in the future that will specifically be for bat cow holders. So in other words, if they drop a Batman cape or a Batman suit or a Batmobile or
Right.
just think of anything, the only people who are going to be able to purchase those are the people who hold the crown jewel, which is the bat call. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So you can dream up anything you want to, man. When they tell us that, and they said some, between 50 days, they'll sometimes drop us something for free. You know what I'm saying? But when
Right.
you think of Jim Lee, imagine you get access to Jim Lee as, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As one of he designed these bat cows, by the way. He
Right.
was one of the big pieces to designing them. And can you imagine that? Like being
Bro.
going to an event and he would he would tell you, hey, you were one of the people who believed in the project. This is for DC fans. I want to put you guys first. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
mind blowing. And some of the actors and actresses on Warner Brothers, they can make stuff like that happen in an instant. You know what I'm saying? That could be
Right.
written in their contracts already. So we don't know, man. Anything
Yeah.
is possible.
Well, I mean, and that's so cool that you mentioned that, man. And that was another reason why I bought one because I was like, Vivi didn't get those DC comics yet, right? Like we know that like we got Marvel Comics #1, but like I think the two most expensive comics in the world, maybe Comics and Crypto or Sleeping Comics, is gonna be like, dude, you're totally wrong. But I thought it was Detective Comics #27, if I'm not wrong, the first appearance of Batman, and then the Action Comics #1, first appearance of Superman, which are both easily over 3 mil. And then I was like, dude, what happens if they like what happens if we get airdrop these or we have the opportunity to buy them for like $1,000 even, and then we know, okay, they're maybe it's like limited to one per account, so there's only 6,500 that are minted. Like what are like that's just such easy profit if that were ever to happen. And I was like, so there's just so many possibilities, that it's just like it's mind-blowing, bro.
It's scary, to be honest with you. And that takes me back to what you were saying. That's how I found out about the bat cows. I was
Ah,
following Palm. If you were, I don't know if you remember, but back, I want to say like a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, Palm announced, they made an announcement that um, Palm was going to open up a marketplace. Stay tuned, it's coming this summer. I was following Palm, and they were the ones who sent out the tweet about the Bat Call Discord opening up because I had been following Palm because my fandom NFTs were tied to that marketplace.
right.
That was how it happened.
Wow. And bro, and it makes so this kind of makes me wonder if they almost didn't go crazy with the marketing at the beginning because they were like, we want to give it to people that really care and want to be a part of this, not like be a part of a pump and dump thing. And we're going to reward the shit out of them. And then they're going to then, benefit from this because everybody else is going to want a piece of the action once they see the utility that comes out. Because one of my concerns originally when they didn't have 200,000 minted was, okay, now there's 1/20th of what potentially you could have minted. Does that mean there's only, $5 million that you actually got when you needed 60 million in order to
Right.
actually deliver on this? And then I was like listening to Matt, I was listening to you in Spaces, and that's not at all what happened. He was like, no, DC is funding this, DC is a part of it. So it's like we're not to worry there. But I just thought that was like interesting, like this whole experience is now so much more exclusive than the original, I guess, design.
Right.
Yeah.
And to your point, man. So imagine, and I always used to tell people this. Imagine if DC, like I said, they gave the ultimate fan experience. Imagine if they gave that and they only did it for 10,000 people.
Right.
You know how up in arms DC fans would be across the planet if this is, and I still believe it is, if this is the ultimate DC fan experience. We know that they said for fandom, 22 billion people across the planet,
Right.
or 22 million, excuse me, 22 million people across the planet signed up for DC fandom. So when you equate 200,000 to 22 million, and then you tell 22 million of your fans that, hey, we only gave this exclusive, you know, event to 10,000, 20,000 people, you would be up in arms, and you would literally want to fight. You know what I'm saying? If you're a big DC fan, you would go nuts.
Right.
So 200,000, and then I ask people the question too. Imagine, I said, imagine, okay, if DC offered you a chance to buy a stock in their company for $300, not using just USD, if they offered you a chance to buy a stock in their company for $300 a share, would you buy it?
I would. Wouldn't
You
even
would,
think twice about it.
right?
Yeah.
So, and I said that to myself because I started thinking like, okay, they didn't make it with crypto, which
Yeah. Yeah.
brings people who are not in crypto, and it's easy to buy. You buy stocks with with cash. And then on top of that, what company other than in stocks can you have a say so in what they do with their company, i.e., comic book, have a say in what goes on in the comic book? You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? And when you tie it in like that, it's like, wow, wait a minute. How do we know we're not investing in a stock of DC in the shape of a bat cow that has utility?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Bro, I love the way that you explain that because that's the way that I saw it last minute. I was like, okay, well, what's the downside here? I'm like, I may lose $80 in the secondary and still be part of a 2-year experience minimum with all these amazing fans. I'm like, it's great content. I'm like, it's just going to be such a cool thing. So I was like, the downside is like I lose $80 on my initial investment, which is still a friggin' like that's nothing. Like you're paying still for something, right? And then I was
Right.
like, okay, but what's the upside? And I was like, now I don't know if you've seen, but like a lot of people are getting offers on their cows that are like not cheap. And then there's only, like approximately 10,000. So these things, like if you think about Todd and just how much traction got behind Todd, with the peak being like about 14 to 17,000, which is, I think I said this, but over like $100 million market cap. That only occupies maybe 1% of VV's entire market share. Now we're going over to a project that has all this backed utility with also new fans incorporated. So people are like, oh, this is going to sell for under retail. And I'm like, if it does, like your boy will be here, like, not just me, but I know a lot of whales that are going to be stocking these things up. Right. So yeah. So, I mean, what is your take on that? Like, cause I think like the upside is like, I just thought it was a no brainer. Like once I started understanding it more and saw that there wasn't many minted, I was like, of course I'm going to jump in. I think a lot of people just lost out, bro. They didn't see it until last minute.
Yeah, they did. And that's why we hosted so many spaces, man. Like
Yeah.
people like, and the same thing happened with Hero, man. I was talking about how the prices on Hero would skyrocket easily because the amount of cards due to the amount of people who are DC fans, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even match to the supply, to the demand. So with the Bat Cows, and call me crazy. Everybody was calling me crazy. Like I was saying that these suckers would be at a minimum one ETH, one
Right.
ETH. Even if they sold out, I was saying one ETH. And I said that because of what I was saying earlier. Like there is no Batman on the blockchain. Okay, so let me back
Yeah.
up. This project, Palm, has already announced a month ago that they're going to integrate with OpenSea and with consensus for the MetaMask wallet.
Right.
So if you know that information, you know that these will instantly be on OpenSea once you can get them to on MetaMask, and then you can put them on OpenSea. And
Wow.
when you know that, there's no Batman. There is no Batman other than HRO right now uh that's on OpenSea. We want
Right.
that with Todd. When if that happens with Todd, we know what that's gonna do for Todd. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about, man. But I said that with the Bat Cows, I still think they would be one ETH. And the fact that we only have 10,000 now, and they're partnered with some of the biggest NFT projects. I don't know if you know about that one, but they're partnered with and I don't want to say it wrong, but with Nifty's, I believe it's
Yes. Yes,
yeah,
I saw that. Yeah,
Nifty,
which is nuts.
crazy.
Yeah, I know. Bro, and you're making amazing sense here. Like I don't even know if I like thought about it this way, but the other part too to this is that people on OpenSea are familiar with PFP projects. They understand unique identifiers, they understand that rarity component. Terra Virtua, VV, even Hero to a certain extent is like the same carbon copy with different edition or different serial. And I think like that's the thing to me that could still like people would it could sell for a lot because if you're a bored ape holder and then you see this new cal come in, it's unique and it's only going for an ETH. Like why wouldn't you want to spread out 1/100th of your wealth to just get a little DC back home, be part of this adventure for 2 years, and you know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
yeah, like I just think like I think people are totally underestimating it still.
I think they are too, man. And
Yeah.
at this point, you can only tell people you can only lead the horse to water. You know what I'm saying? You can't.
Yeah.
But if you when they start putting these things on their board apes,
Mm,
like, are you kidding me? When they start putting these on lazy lions and some of the biggest NFT projects on the face of the planet that we know
right.
since the start of NFTs, that is crazy utility. That is
Right.
crazy utility.
Yeah, no kidding, bro. And then on top of that, some of these names that are involved are insane. Like I was hearing about like I don't know his like I forgot his name now. I do know his name, but it's like the producer of Harry Potter. Like he was like a huge part of this. And then
Daniel Heyman?
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, and so like I didn't even know that. And then people are like, oh yeah, he's he's like really involved in this. And then Caitlin Burns, who was like the storyteller for like Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts and stuff. And I was like, what the heck? And then like I've never even heard of this, bro. A director of story, because there's so many moving parts. They needed to hire somebody to come in and like gel it and sync it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do you, is there even an education for that? Like, how do you become a director of a story? But this is like the kind of this team that they're bringing in. Like, it's so advanced.
That's the part that really put the nail in the coffin. So
Right.
Daniel Heyman I believe he's the founder or co-founder. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's the founder of Palm NFT.
That's
So
right.
yeah, he's the founder. And then you have Matt Mason, who is the one who's moving the ship at Palm NFT. He's one of the guys in charge of the entire team.
Right.
And so Heyman is on top. Then you got Mason, and then under Matt Mason, you have people like um, Elise Fulcher. You have people
Mhm.
like uh, Caitlin Burns, head of, you know what I'm saying, director of story. And when you think about Caitlin Burns, I dug deep into her, and I was able to find that she is probably, and I don't want to say she's the biggest piece to this,
Yeah.
but she's a key piece for what's going to happen.
Right.
When you look at her rap sheet, she's been on every project, whether it be the biggest movies, Pirates of the Caribbean, Nickelodeon, with some of the cartoons on Nickelodeon. She was on Coca Cola. She was
Jesus.
on. Her rap sheet goes forever, and all of her projects that she's touched have been successes. And I don't want to say all of them, but the majority that's on her, on her database online, it's all success. And why would they need? So if this was just a PFP project, why would you need a director of story?
Yeah, that's a good
You know what
point.
I'm saying? Like, why
Yeah,
would
yeah.
you do that? Hmm.
Right. Right. That's a great point. Like if you didn't figure it out beforehand, you're like looking at all these names.
And then another key piece, Joseph Lubin is the co-founder to Ethereum. Okay.
Holy shit.
He's also the the he's also the creator of Consensus. And if you know what Consensus is, they created MetaMask.
Right. So this is the whole connection. That's where it's all, bro.
Exactly.
And like these, that's what I'm saying. Like these guys are like almost like the founders of blockchain. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like that's crazy.
And if you find those guys in bed together, are you not gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gonna
You're
ignore
not
that?
gonna ask
Oh, there's
questions.
10,000 mints.
What are you guys all doing in the same room together? This is kind
Yeah,
of a
yeah.
coincidence.
Right.
And, you know, Joseph Lubin tweeted that this could be the change for mass marketing in NFT projects using a community.
Mm,
And that's their key goal with this. And once I found out he was connected to all of them with Daniel Heyman, and then you know what I'm saying, all those pieces just locked together. So a lot of it really is just people didn't do the research. They saw, like you said, a lot of people just saw 200K and they were
yeah.
like, no thanks. Because most people in the space, we all know, most people in the space are here to make money, and I am as well. But
Right.
when you see 200,000, you instantly, as a trader or someone who participates, you instantly think, okay, this ain't for me because I can't make money off of it. And
Right.
I saw it from a DC fan experience, the ultimate DC fan experience. So for me, it was like, if they're gonna give us all these things, and they're partnered with this amazing team, and even people outside of the team, like, come on, man, this is not some we want a cash grab and then we're just gonna jump out of the way, man. You
Right.
had to really deep dive.
Right. Man, well said, dude. And like I think you're right. Like the majority of people in this space are here to make money. But what was so cool about like some of the spaces I was listening to with you involved was like people that weren't even into NFTs that like got there strictly from DC. And I remember this one guy was like, all right, $300 is a lot of money for me, and he had like 10 questions, and one of the cool things he asked was, hey, is this utility, like do I have to buy into the utility? So for instance, like, you know, if something happens every 52 days, is this something I have to then pay an extra $300 to get that? And Matt was like, oh my god, I feel so embarrassed for not answering that question. He's like, no, he's like, everything from this point forward, it's like you're going to get the utility and then there'll be optional things on top of it. So for anybody wondering, you know, that wants to still buy one in the secondary, you can still buy one. It might be at a premium or not. You won't be part of Night Watch, but you can get everything else, I think, going forward.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And there was another person too. It was another woman was in the space, and she said the same thing. She was
Right.
like, funny enough, I'm not an NFT. She said I got my first NFT from DC fandom, and she's a
Mm,
big DC fan. I can tell she is. So she's new to the space in every way, and she was like, you know, I jumped into this, and I got my first fandom NFT, and after that, I got the message about the Bat Cows, and I heard it was an NFT, and I thought, you know, is Jim Lee involved? And as a DC fan, she just heard Jim Lee and DC. And for her, it was like, okay, she said, what a better way to spend her $300. And she
wow.
got involved in the project, man. And she found the spaces. And
Yeah.
yeah, she's having fun as well, man.
Wow, so cool, bro. And what I love too now is that a lot of the new NFT projects, like especially on the superhero side of things, are like making it so easy and accessible for users. Like, you know, you sign into NFT DC Universe or whatever, you mint your cow like by just pressing buy now, pretty much, you know, and then it just like, and then it's on the blockchain, and then now they're creating the bridge with the MetaMask. But it's amazing because these new people that aren't like big into NFTs or understand it are you know coming on board just like Vivi did. And so it's funny, and somebody else said this to me recently, but it seems as though all these other projects are copying VV's accessibility and different features, but then also like creating even better stuff like utility and you know more interoperability, and so it's like, you know, even though VV's like a giant, and once it does have all those things, it'll probably be the biggest, you know, the biggest whale in the space. But it's just so cool that like, you know, we're getting these new users on that can kind of, you know, that know a lot about the lore and the fandom that a lot of these crypto guys don't. They're just like, oh, looks sick, let's see if we can buy it, you know, make some money, flip it, when buy the rumors, sell the news, like those kind of guys. And it's like, dude, like there's a whole different thing. This could be massive, right?
That's a key point that you make, man. One thing I always try to make people understand,
Hmm.
these NFT platforms, for all we know, they could be conspiring to bring everybody back to Vivi. Like we don't even know that.
Yeah.
And the point of HRO and the point of the bat cows and the point of, these different projects who are using cash to get in, they're proving their point. They're bringing new people into the space and allowing them to buy an NFT without realizing it's an NFT.
Hmm.
And then once they get hammered in and they get enamored with, you know, the benefits of it, the utility, and how much value it has, it gives them a better understanding of NFTs as a whole, what they can be and what they can become. And it gives them confidence in the space,
Right.
as far as not losing in on it, something that you're buying online and then prices dip when people jump in and jump out. So I always said we should I know a lot of people in different communities don't want to see different projects win, and to
Hmm.
me it's toxic to the entire space. And I only say
Right.
that for one reason, because when you look at the entire NFT space, we are literally a rock on the ground, you know what I'm saying, compared to the
Hmm.
entire world.
Right.
And the faster that we can grow this rock, even if it's in something you don't like, grow that rock first, and then people can start choosing where they want to go. But if we don't grow that rock into a boulder first, we're going to dampen the space, and we're going to, you know what I'm saying, slow
You're
its
right.
progress down as a whole.
That's well said, bro. We're still very fragile. And if it's like we don't like take care of this space, then it could almost backfire on us. And then like all of a sudden, it could diminish. And so it's like that's well said, because it's like, especially in the license realm. Because like, NFTs are already extremely niche. And then there's the licensed NFTs, and then there's like the collectible stuff.
Right.
And then one thing that I loved that you talked about, and I heard Matt talk about too, was like, everybody's got this idea in their head that like NFTs are all about like making money. Like it's pretty much an investment, like get rich quick scheme, right? And what we're forgetting is that as we transition into the world of NFTs, it's not just going to be about that anymore. Like it's going to be a totally different space. So this is like why I thought it was so interesting, because Matt, people were like, Matt, is this going to be a good investment for us? And he's like, I don't know if it's going to go up or go down. I don't think about that stuff. I'm concerned about the experience, etc. So it's like, if anything, if it does go up, you have to look at it more like a byproduct of what you're of being involved in this project. Like, not to say that we don't want to make money, but it's like that's not the primary goal here. And it just so happens that now we are on the 10,000 minted NFT project that also I feel like a lot of people would buy into. But like, I think it was just like it was interesting because a lot of people just like looked down upon it originally because they were like, "Oh, it's an experience for nerds." Like that's dude. I'll be honest, like that's what people saw. They're like, "Oh, it's
Yeah.
for the geeks." Like they want to be Batman and like not even like diving deep.
And it's true, man. Like I've heard a lot from Matt, and Matt is uh he first of all, Matt is spoken. He's well spoken, and
Yeah.
he's a very good part of this team because his knowledge, I believe he said it reaches back 20 years on the
Right.
entire space of NFTs and Web3 as a whole. And what you were saying about, NFTs are they want to make it a Web3 space. They want to make it an experience. A
Hmm.
lot of people still are on the mindset of, because it's an item, it's just like something in the physical world. But that's not true, because once you give these things utility, literally it becomes an experience. You know what I'm saying? You can't
Yeah.
get that a toy from the store. You can't get an experience.
Right. Right. Dude, listen, man, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. I'm glad that we got to do this. It's cool because, on Spaces, everybody's chatting with you, right? And what I love about these interviews is I could just be like, dude, guess what? You're gonna have to chat with me now for just under an hour. Um, Listen, dude, I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you kind of paving the way. I honestly think if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have minted a cowl because I wouldn't have known about it. So I remember I got really intrigued, when I was seeing like one of the spaces one day, and I think you were talking about how low the supply was still, and how like this could be a good thing. I was like, oh, and I'll be honest, I went in it at that point as an investment, not even knowing what the whole thing was. And then I got interested after I saw it get minted, and after I talked with Matt. But listen, bro, like huge honor to have you on. If you do not follow this guy, Legacy T, he's all over Twitter. You'll see him. He's got one of the fancier bat cowls as his PFP. And yeah, and you're always in spaces, and there's a lot of other, great people that are in there with you, and you guys, really hold it down and do a good job of spreading the knowledge and the awareness. So I really appreciate you coming on today, brother.
Hey man, I feel blessed to have this opportunity to be on, because I've been on other channels too, man, and it's because of this. I attribute it to the space, man, and I like it's an honor to be on your channel, to be honest with you, man, because I'm a fan of your channel, and it's fun to be able to chat with you one on one, man. So that's awesome, man, and I feel privileged to be on the space with you, man.
Awesome, bro. Well, thanks again. And yeah, like as this journey continues, we'll have you on with a few others, man. I got to get the Gale back up. I got to get some of these other guys like Shadow and stuff. Like I'm like I said, I'm like a fanboy in these spaces, just listening in the day. Like I'm at work and I've got you guys all here, bro. Like, and I'm just like doing work and I'm like taking it in, So, yeah, man, total honor. So yeah, we'll do it again soon. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Definitely, man. I appreciate your time, man. Thanks a lot for the invite. It's pretty awesome, man. So yeah, I look forward to having more time with you, man. It'll be awesome.
Same here, brother. Take care, man.
Hey, have a good one. Thanks, Chad.
Well. Thanks, buddy.